I honestly believe this situation would not have escalated the way it did if the public and media had not gotten so heavily involved. When I first heard Magnetic, I genuinely thought it was a NewJeans song. I was listening to a random K-pop playlist on Spotify when it came on. I didn't even check the artist's name because it sounded so familiar. And I'm sure a lot of people experienced the same thing. I only found out it wasn't NewJeans about a week later, when the plagiarism accusations started gaining attention online. At first, I thought it was just the usual K-pop fan accusations. We see copying claims all the time, so I didn't take it seriously. But when I realized the song people were talking about was Magnetic, and that it wasn't by NewJeans, I immediately understood why the comparison started. That sound was very similar to what people already associated with NewJeans at the time. However, I still believe the situation spiraled because of public reaction and fandom behavior, not because of the groups themselves. The hate directed at ILLIT and SSERAFIM didn't start with NewJeans, it started with fans. And once the public attention grew, it began to feel like everyone was choosing sides, which only made things worse. That attention made the conflict seem bigger than it needed to be. And I think it played a role in giving confidence to decisions that eventually led to contract violations with Ador. In my opinion, the lawsuit and contract termination could have continued without crossing certain lines. Things might have ended very differently if the situation had been handled more quietly and carefully. At the same time, I also believe Ador is trying to create a scapegoat out of the members, especially Danielle, instead of taking accountability for how poorly everything was managed. Yes, Magnetic did sound like NewJeans' earlier style, but after the backlash, ILLIT's music slowly began developing its own identity. And I genuinely think that happened because of how intense the copying accusations became. This whole situation could have been approached differently by Jin, by the company, and by the adults involved. Because at the end of the day, ILLIT, SSERAFIM, and NewJeans did not deserve the hate they received. None of the groups did. The harassment, the fanwars, the accusations, all of it came from fandoms. And that constant pressure is exactly what turned a manageable issue into something far more complicated and damaging than it ever needed to be.